So I wanted to make a video about yesterday's Supreme Court decision, which we pretty much knew was going to happen when the uh, opinion got leaked. And most of us knew it was going to happen when the confirmation process happened about the justices that got added. So I want to talk a little bit today, not really so much about that opinion as much as what are the next steps that people that are, in my opinion, center and to the left of center and folks on the left should do. It's also 9:41 in the morning and I'm eating Pop-Tarts, and so just excuse everything here. So the question becomes, what can you do? And why weren't things done before? I've seen a lot of posts today about why was Roe v. Wade not codified by the federal government when Democrats had control of the White House, control of the Senate, and control of the House of Representatives. That's a very good question. So here's my take on it. And remember, I am not an expert in this, but this is the way I see it. First of all, the way the rules are set up in the Senate now, you have to have 60 votes to shut down debate and go to a vote. You actually have to have a vote in the Senate to bring something up for a vote. And that vote right now requires 60 votes. That's the rules of the Senate. We'll talk about how those can be changed in a minute. So under normal stuff, you have to have 60 votes in order to do that. Now, there are some exceptions. The exceptions are there has been something carved out for Supreme Court justices where you don't have to have 60 votes to go to a vote on that. You can just have a simple majority. During budget bills, you can use a reconciliation process that has been codified in the rules where you only need a majority. There's very specific instances that those can be used, which is why when you see tax bills that are getting bogged down in the Senate, you'll see a lot of maneuvering to get the bill's language proper so that the parliamentarian, the person who actually goes, yes, this can be used by this rule, no, it cannot. You'll see a lot of maneuvering to get the bill worded just right so that it can go through that way. And that only takes 51 votes. So if for it to have been codified when President Obama was president, you would have had to have 60 votes in the Senate to get it to a vote. And there was never that. That was just not an option. And at the time, there was essentially a 5-4 liberal to conservative on the Supreme Court. So Roe v. Wade was pretty much protected by the precedent of its ruling. After the 2016 election and Trump was able to appoint new justices and other justices died and retired, we knew that we then had a 6-3 so-called conservative bent. I don't like calling it a conservative bent because I don't think it really is. I think it's just a Republican bent, but that's a totally different conversation for a different day and really wasn't even appropriate for me to say in this video, but that's the way I believe. So the question becomes now, because all of the polling data that I have seen shows that there are vast majorities of people that understand that abortion is healthcare at some level. I believe we all agree that there is a point where it's not no longer an option, late term, with a healthy child, a healthy fetus, and a mother's life is not in danger, at that point, no. But I mean, I have a friend who had what would often be called a late term abortion, and that was because the baby did not develop properly. This was a wanted pregnancy. In many states now, that is going to be illegal. There's just a lot to this. So if you're one of those people who understand that abortion is proper health care that should be decided on by a professional medical doctor who went to medical school, whereas most of the members of Congress have not, and most of the Supreme Court justices have not, then we got to figure out how to fix this. And so here's how you fix it. And it is a complicated process. So sit down with me and go through. The first step is you have to eliminate the filibuster in the Senate, which is that thing where I just told you about. Filibuster used to mean I'm gonna be recognized on the floor. Nobody can interrupt me, and I'm going to talk for as long as I can possibly talk to delay a bill being passed. That is the traditional definition of a filibuster. The definition has now changed to basically mean any legislative process that slows down getting a bill to the floor for a vote, which is what the 60 vote requirement has been. And that requirement was put in play, if I'm not mistaken, that's not an original requirement. That was put in, I think, during civil rights debates, trying to limit civil rights. Imagine that. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to change the rule. Now, how can you change the rule? The rules are agreed on at the beginning of every term by a simple majority. If the Senate has 52 people willing to go along with that rule, they, at the beginning of a Senate term, they can vote the rules to say, hey, to bring a bill to vote, all you need is 50 votes, and or 51. 50 plus, if it's a tie, the vice president of the United States gets to cast tie-breaking votes. So you could do that, and it would be absolutely legal and can be done. What do you do if you're in the middle of a term? Because it has been done. It has been changed in the middle of a term before. You do what's called a point of order. So my understanding on this, and I may have the order of operations wrong just a little bit, I'm not a constitutional scholar, but let's say a vote happens and it goes, you don't get the 50 votes to bring it to table. You can stand up as a senator, be recognized by the chair, and go, I would like a point of order where a precedent could be set that 51 votes are only need for legislation. This has already been done with Supreme Court justices, by the way. You would then have an immediate vote right then, and if 51, a simple majority, basically agrees to change the rule, but you're changing the precedent of the rule, the parliamentarian, who is the official appointed to make sure that the rules of the Senate are properly followed during debate, would then have to recognize that this is a precedent. It is essentially a new rule, and from this point on, 51 votes are needed. It has been referred to as the nuclear option. This has been brought up several times for different pieces of legislation. Now, why have Democrats not done this in the past? Or Republicans, for that matter? The truth of the matter is that long-term career politicians understand that opinions sway, political parties sway, and eventually, in a true representative democracy like we have, the opposition will eventually be in the majority. And if you are not in the majority, sometimes it's nice to be able to slow down opposition by being able to use that filibuster, by needing that 10 vote cushion. And I think that's what happened here. I think the Democratic Party and Democrats in the Senate said as long as Roe v. Wade stands, it can't be destroyed by legislation, state or federal. But now that Roe v. Wade has been stricken, we're now in a situation where the entire game has changed. Because now now you're fighting from a position of weakness. or a position of, losing your territory. So currently the Democratic Party has 50 senators. Actually, I think they have 49 plus an independent, Bernie Sanders, who caucuses with them. There might be 2 independents. I can't remember right offhand. I feel like that might be right. And we have a Democratic vice president who would vote in affirmative. But you have 3 Democratic senators who've repeatedly said prior to this that they would not go along with a point of order or a rule change. Collins, I can't think of the gentleman's name, who are always appalled when things don't work out the way they thought they would be worked out. Sorry, I'm having to move my microphone. My cord was on my space bar. But at any rate, so you don't really have the votes right now to even do a point of order as I see it. Now, those opinions may have changed, and if so, then it should be done. So that means you're going to have to go through an election cycle for Senate. You're going to have to pick up some more seats as a Democratic candidate, a Democratic Party, and then you're going to have to do a point of order. And the only way you're going to be able to win that is to beat conservatives who are already, you're going to have to beat conservative and Republican incumbents, which is going to be difficult. It's going to require campaigning, and it's going to require money. And I've seen a lot of people very frustrated with the Democratic Party because they started sending out fundraising emails, and you're frustrated because they haven't done enough in the past. I get that, but understand this is the only path I see that this changes. So with that being said, what do you do once you do a point of order and you eliminate the filibuster? Well, first of all, you try to codify the original decision of Roe v. Wade. You write a law that basically says that a woman's right for abortion health care can't be what's the word infringed is the word I'm looking for the first 12 weeks. Then whatever the reasonings are for the second trimester and third trimester, I don't really know it as well as I should. You codify that, you get it passed through the House and the Senate, it becomes law. Eventually there will be a challenge to that law. It will go back to the Supreme Court and will probably be declared unconstitutional. So we understand that we have a situation that the Supreme Court's going to do this. So then the second thing you have to do is pass legislation changing the size of the Supreme Court. This has been done in history. When the Supreme Court was first established, it had 1 justice. At one time, it had more than the justices we have now. Then legislation was done to bring it back down to the number we have today, which is 9. I believe that's good just from a practicality standpoint. 9 people representing as many people as we have, it's not enough just from case workload. Even when appeals go up, there are districts that I believe each justice has 1, if not more than 1 district. So when an appeal comes to them, they're the ones that have to present it to their colleagues. Just from a general workflow, we don't have enough Supreme Court justices for the size that we have. So you pass the law changing the size of the Supreme Court. That can be done by legislation. It's one of the checks and balances of the legislative process of our government. You expand the Supreme Court, and then while there's a Democratic president, you place justices on the bench. You get them confirmed by the Senate. The carve out there for a 51 vote majority for U.S. Supreme Court is already there. But in my thing, we've already kind of also changed the rules of the Senate as well too, because that was the only way you're going to be able to pack the court. With the understanding on all of this that when Republicans become back in power, they're going to try to expand the court again or shrink it, which they can do. And that is going to necessitate the Democratic Party becoming ruthless and trying to win elections not on the idea of governing success, of being a pragmatic and benevolent governing operation. you're going to have to do what conservatives have done for years, and that is win at all cost, and understand that you're going to have to motivate your base. You're going to have to convince people to move to the left. People who were raised in households that were, to the right for a long time in this country. I would say that the center point, the average family, was probably just to the right of center. And I think you're going to see that gradually change. Now, the process I've just laid out to you can be done in one election, but it won't be. The process I've just laid out to you, I think, will be a 10-year process if it's done successfully. And for those of you that are tired already from the 4 years of the previous administration, it is difficult to want to find the energy to do that. So, but that's the only way I can see things changing, unless the Republican Party somehow decides to go to the left, which I don't think they're going to do. They have no reason for it. So that is where we are. That is where I see your options being. So be upset, absolutely. Be completely upset. Is looking for a third party the right answer? I don't think it is. I think fracturing the left even more is how you're going to get more conservative rule, because I feel like that's what happened. You can even look at the Republican primaries for the 2016 election. There were two what I would consider to be traditional Republicans. That vote got split, and that was how Donald Trump was able to get a plurality of the delegates, and that's how he became president. Donald Trump became president because the Republican Party fractured itself and didn't unify quickly enough behind somebody that wouldn't have acted the way he had of. We may still be in the same boat, but I have a feeling it would have been a little bit less chaotic during those 4 years. So, vote. Understand you're going to have to support a political party who really has difficulty in putting games away. If you're a sports fan, it's like, hey, we're up by 14 at the beginning of the fourth quarter, we should be able to win this ball game, but yet we end up winning, but only by like 3. Like, how did this happen? Why are we still having to score this late in the game in order to win? That's going to be the frustration level you're going to be at, to use a sports analogy. So that's my opinion. I think eventually you're going to have to codify abortion rights through amendments to the Constitution. That is going to have to be a long-term goal, but I don't think you get there through this process. I think there are other constitutional amendments that need to be placed. I posted some of them on Facebook the other day, and I understand if you might want to look through those and see what you agree with. Some of them you will agree with, some of them you probably won't, but that's the way I kind of see it. So to everybody who has been affected by this ruling, I am thinking about you. And I think the plan I put forth to you is how we fix this. Look forward to any comments, look forward to any constructive comments about how I may have the process wrong. You can leave those in the comments, and I'm always open to learn. I'm always open to learn, but that's the way I see it today, June 25th, 2022 at 10 a.m. Have a great day, everybody.